Well, for more on this story, France 24's Armen Georgian joins me. Armen, hello. We've heard that appeal, those almost words of warning from Kamala Harris. But beyond that, how will the U.S. actually stop these people from coming?
Well, there's no quick fix, especially as the US says it now wants to focus on the root causes of this migration from Central America. That's to say, poverty, corruption, and violence. Now, if you take that kind of approach, it's obviously going to take a very long time to dismantle, even come close to dismantling these sophisticated criminal networks. And one of the problems that the US has, Wasim, is that it doesn't have very good political relations with the governments of these these Northern Triangle states. So the Northern Triangle comprises Guatemala, El Salvador, and Honduras. Now, with Guatemala, it's obviously improving ties or trying to use this, U.S. soft power by providing vaccines to Guatemala. But with the other two Northern Triangle states, it really lacks good political relations with Salvador and Honduras. And the U.S. says that the way it's going to get around this, essentially, is it will bypass the governments. It will work directly with NGOs in those countries. But the problem is you can't just completely freeze out government bureaucrats or government officials. If you have a new project, you're probably going to need licenses to do certain things. That means some level of involvement by government officials or bureaucrats. If you need to bring water or electricity from point A to B, again, you have to involve the government on some level. So it's very hard when you don't have good political relations with the governments to work in this kind of vacuum just with NGOs.
So working on that political relationship, the main target of this trip, we've mentioned now Harris is now in Mexico, and that country hasn't always been the most reliable partner when it comes to immigration.
Well, it's a difficult relationship. President López Obrador of Mexico has blamed the Biden administration for increased arrivals at the border, saying that Biden essentially created expectations that migrants would be treated better, and so that gave them an incentive to come in larger numbers. Now, remember, when there are more migrants coming from the Northern Triangle states in Central America, they actually have to go through Mexico in order to reach the U.S. border, so that's an extra thing that Mexico has to deal with. But let's also not forget Mexico has its own nationals who are fleeing violence in Mexico. And as the election campaign, which has just passed, which was extremely violent, shows, there are plenty of reasons for Mexicans themselves to leave Mexico and try to get into the United States. In fact, if you look at U.S. Customs and Border Protection data, they say that Mexicans actually comprise the largest group that they came into contact with in April in terms of people trying to cross illegally into the U.S. So it's not just a Northern Triangle states and U.S. issue. It's also direct Mexico-U.S. issue. Those two countries, they're obviously trying to address these problems. They're trying to improve diplomatic ties. Again, the U.S. seems to be taking this kind of root causes strategy with Mexico, talking about unemployment, deforestation, limited market access, women's issues, gender balance, and so forth. All of that is perhaps laudable, but doesn't give one a sort of immediate solution on the border itself.
Armen